Back in 2013, an image leaked onto the internet, and Nintendo and Pokemon fans' interests were piqued, for they saw the light in the tunnel, a new Pokemon game. Now, many people saw this game and thought it was just a new Pokemon game, maybe Stadium, or maybe it was a main core game. But what we got instead in 2015 was every 10-year-old's dream in the 90s. What came of it was a Pokemon fighting game, where you use Pokemon to brawl it out. In a big open field, no turns, no stats, just combat. Fights like the anime could play out without any restrictions. One thing that was a big problem with Pokemon's anime adaptation and the game itself was the fact that there was a huge disconnect between fights in the games and fights in the anime. All in all, there was a real novelty in seeing Pokemon fight it out like the anime. Of course, break out your sad violins because this game came out on the Wii U. Now, for those of you who checked out between 2012 and 2017, I'm going to catch you up to speed. The Wii U was a dumpster fire. A sort of Titanic, if you will. Every game that came out on the Wii U was doomed to fail. Now, that doesn't mean that the games were going to be bad automatically. In fact, a lot of great games came out on the Wii U. The problem was that the Wii U had such a small install base. So many people just didn't care about it, or didn't know what the fuck the Wii U was, they didn't buy it. This led to a lot of people just not playing any games that were on the Wii U at the time. So of course, when the Switch came out, Nintendo decided, well, we have all these games that nobody played, let's re-release them. And thus, Pokken Tournament DX came into fruition. Now, I would like to say right now that the Wii U version of Pokken Tournament is really bad. And when I say really bad, I mean really bad. Like, you look at other games that got ported from the Switch over, and it's just, you see a sheer great increase of just quality in these games. Hyrule Warriors just became so much better on the Switch. Same thing with, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. And who can forget Mario Kart 8 Deluxe? That game is just awesome. But then you look at Pokken Tournament and you just feel the lack of care that they put into it. Was Pokken Tournament a game worth even porting, honestly? No, that's a hard no. If I had to describe Pokken Tournament, honestly, Pokken Tournament is shit. It is hot shit that they found on the rotting corpse of the Wii U, and that's where it should have stayed, but instead they decided to serve it on a silver platter that is the Switch. Now keep in mind, I buy games to fill in niches. For example, I bought Mario Odyssey because it's a collectathon platformer. I have Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild because it's a RPG that I like to play. I had Sonic Mania because I wanted a game that I can play that's really fast and high octane action. So you're probably wondering, what niche did Pokken Tournament fill? Well, that's simple, my dear viewer. It was to fill the fighting game niche. Instead of waiting for Smash Brothers, I decided, hey, what the fuck? I should just get Pokken Tournament. I didn't play it on the Wii U, and it might be good. Spoiler alert, it was not good. Like, let's take in the fact that this game is basically a shittier version of Pokemon Type Wild, a game which I'm having a hard time finding, and I almost wonder if, Game Freak shut down the project on its own. The game ran the same way. It basically was, you picked your Pokemon, and then you had a support set that would be assigned with the Pokemon. However, in Pokken Tournament, you get to pick a support set, and you fight. Throughout the fight, you charge up your meter for your Pokemon. You have a synergy gauge that you use to boost and become super mega badass. You also had super cool, amazing finisher moves, which were really fun and flashy and entertaining. Like, if there is one thing that I can say that they got right with this game, it is making these fucking critical hit moves, or whatever they're called, like synergy bursts. They are the most satisfying moves to land, because the animation involved with it is so goddamn gorgeous. It's amazing. That being said, the game isn't designed to be a console experience. And this is incredibly evident with the fact that Pokken Tournament tanked sales in Japan. and honestly has only sold about 1.3 million units worldwide. Now, 1.3 million isn't a bad number to hit, honestly. That's a really good number to hit. But you gotta ask yourself, why the fuck is this game, a Pokemon game, tanking in Japan? They fucking love their Pokemons over there. So what the fuck happened? Well, that's simple. They have arcade cabinets over there. In fact, they have Pokken Tournament arcade cabinets all over the place over there. Because why the fuck not? This game is designed to be an arcade fighter. And because of that, it is fucking shallow. Now, before I tear this game a complete new asshole to just dump shit out of, I want to give credit where credit is due. They made a fucking good roster with this game. Like, I unironically enjoy the roster in this game. Who can forget classics like Scissors, Fox Lolly, Waifu Bait, Frog Pikachu, King Dedede, and who can forget Lamp? Like, holy shit, they really dug deep into the annals of the Pokedex for this one. Honestly, a lot of these Pokemons were chosen because they were fan favorites. And I'm honestly really cool with that. It's really nice to see them acknowledge the fact that fans like certain Pokemon more than others. If I'm being completely honest, all my problems stem from the fact that this is not designed to be a single player game in any respect. Like, the game barely has any single player element to it. And now, before I hear the wave of whiny Nintendo cucks coming to defend their precious Game Freak game or whatever, saying, "Ooh, but Clooney, they did! They added a story mode! Look at it, you fucking jackass!" I would just like to state, for the record, I know, and I did play the story mode, and I got to the Iron League, and then I quit, because of two reasons. Reason number one, it's just ladder climbing. There is no story progression, like at all. You fight 6 opponents, and then based on if you win or lose, you advance. Rinse and repeat for the next 5 hours. Eventually the big bad corrupted Mewtwo you see on the box art, who I guess got bit by Soul Edge or some fucking bullshit. Yeah, he shows up, and you gotta fight a string of boss fights, and I'm using that term very loosely here, because they actually take away your synergy gauge, which actually leads to some interesting concepts for boss fights. The problem with this is that it lasts about 4 rounds, and then you're back to fighting Shadow Mewtwo with your synergy back again. And it just leads to you unlocking another ladder to climb. You don't get anything worthwhile, no story fulfillment, you don't get anything. Even reward-wise, you don't get anything. You get a title in DX. A title. It should be also mentioned that the only unlocks are cosmetics, which is cool and all, but I could care less about it. Like, it's nice to see my trainer be unique and interesting character, but overall it's just a picture in the corner of the screen. Why should I really give a shit about collecting, cosmetics for this? It's not like, say, in Soul Calibur, where you can make your own unique character. It's just bad, overall. Now, my next major problem is actually pretty huge, and it's detrimental to the story mode. The game does not allow you to switch characters on the fly. Now, what I mean by this is, you have to set your partner Pokemon right when you start the game, So, automatically you're going to get locked in with one Pokemon for the entire story mode unless you go to your options settings and change the character that you have for story mode. Now, this isn't that big of a deal. It takes like a minute or two to do that, but it's just clunky and not necessary. On top of this, you also have a pretty major problem in the fact that characters level up. Now, why is this a problem, you may ask? Well, good question, my dear viewer. You see, as you get farther into the game, characters level up. They get stronger. They get bigger and better, and they hit harder and have the ability to take more hits because they got more stats. This is why you need to stick with one Pokemon, because if you don't, you're gonna get your fucking ass rocked. Now, you can level up your Pokemon throughout any mode in the game. You can just play random battles in fucking the solo mode and just level up a character and grind it. But the problem really just stems from the fact that you're expected to grind in this fighting game. It's not fun, and they don't really have any ways to really circumvent it either. The closest thing that I can think of is the daily challenge, which gives you extra bonus points depending on what characters are involved in the daily challenge. But that's random, so you don't really have any way to utilize that to take advantage of it. Honestly, all these problems that I'm mentioning feel like leftover guts from something that came from an arcade cabinet. And that makes sense. But there isn't an excuse for having a bare bones story where it's literally climbing a fighting game ladder. Literally trying to raise your power ranking among your peers. Of course, can I really blame this game for being what it is? It's an arcade game. It's not meant to be a home console game that you sit down and play. You know, like say, Soul Calibur. Overall, this game just isn't worth your time or your money. If I'm being completely honest, if you're gonna get any fighting game for your Switch, just hold out and get Super Smash Bros. Smash Bros. Is a way better designed game. It will keep you more occupied for longer, and you will enjoy it for a much longer time period. Whereas I played Pokken Tournament for a month straight, and keep in mind, half of that month was just me playing online because there was nothing to do in the game. And I had to grind up another character because I wanted to use 2 characters throughout the story, and that bit me in the ass because now my characters are weak enough to where they get fucking just deaded in one combo. It's crazy. Would I recommend this game? No. Not unless you're a huge Pokemon fan, because there is that novelty of playing a anime Pokemon battle. That being said, the limited character roster does have problems. Now, I did praise it for having a lot of really obscure Pokemon in there. However, my major problem with the roster is that there's a lot of Pokemon that I want to see in there that just aren't in there. Like, honestly, the fact that the Decidueye got in instead of like in a lowland form of a Pokemon made me really sad because it's like a wasted slot for potential. If they do add any more DLC characters, I really hope that they add 2 Alolan forms, if anything. This has been Looney Clooney, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a fabulous day, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.